futures start here. This belief fuels the Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County, an organization that is growing in numbers and in its ability to enable young people to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible adults. How do they do it? Well, we'll find out in today's Eye on St. Lucie with our special guests from the Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County, Will Armstead and Melanie Wiles. We'll discuss the organization's purpose, programs, and the philanthropic tide that keeps everything flowing in a positive direction. Well, we're so glad to have you all with us today. And before we really get started talking about all the great things that you all do with your organization and then the community, why don't we take just a moment and let our viewing audience have a glimpse into exactly what it is that you do. We'll start with you, Mr. Armstead.
Well, thank you for having us this morning. I am the Chief Executive Officer for Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County. I've been in that position for just over 2 years. And my focus is to make sure that we're running the top youth development agency on the Treasure Coast.
And I'm going to say you came in like a whirlwind. I mean,
Yes.
This organization has just taken off like gangbusters. And then thank you so much.
Well, no, thank you.
Very passionate about what you do.
Yes.
Okay, Melanie?
And I'm the Chief Operating Officer, so I'm kind of the second in command. I've been with Boys and Girls Clubs for over 10 years now. I initially got introduced to Boys and Girls Club as a volunteer, and I was in a local neighborhood clubhouse painting, and I really got to see the youth who really need the club the most and how the club was able to impact this certain group of kids. It really inspired me, and then I was very fortunate to come aboard and actually be a part of the organization.
And over the years, I've learned so much about the Boys and Girls Club, and I've really been thrilled to learn how many children are impacted by this organization. You have over 3,000 members,
Yes.
and you touch the lives of more than 6,000 individuals throughout the year. That's tremendous. And you've got expectations. It's not just a place where students come and relax and enjoy. There are key expectations because you're truly trying to build up self-esteem, leadership, working on academics, and so much more. What is it that the Boys and Girls Club does for students?
Well, first of all, I want to correct Melanie on something. She's not maybe in charge. She is in charge.
Okay.
She does a great job at making sure that we're hitting those key factors. You know, we're focused on academic success. We look at healthy lifestyles in a number of ways, building our kids on character and leadership. And we do a whole host of other specialized programs as well.
All right, and I know we're going to really get into the different programs that you offer in just a little bit, but we've got children throughout St. Lucie County that speak about the excitement going on in your clubs throughout the county. So different locations because we want to make sure that you're accessible. So throughout the county, there are places where students can go, very, very convenient. Moms, dads, whether they work or whether they're stay-at-home moms and dads, don't have to worry about accessibility for Boys and Girls Clubs because there are standalone organizations, and then you partner so very well with St. Lucie Public Schools. That partnership has grown really strong over the years.
Well, you know, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, I get the opportunity to meet with the superintendent every quarter to kind of talk him through what we're doing in his schools, and we actually have one of your senior leaders that are on our board as well, so they get to help us walk through, you know, some of the goods, the bads, and the uglies that keeps a partnership in order. We are currently in 13 locations, 13 school-based locations, and we're partners. I mean, each one of those principals are their own CEO in each one of those schools, and we treat them as such. And, you know, when we visit those principals, we are specifically looking for having the right team in there that can work closely with those principals. And in addition to that, we have our 6 locations in communities where kids can walk directly after school.
All right, so these are after-school programs.
Before and after school programs.
Okay, so in our schools, and for moms and dads and caregivers that are watching, does every school have a before and after school program?
Well, we're in 13 of the schools, 13 of the elementary schools. There are a few that we're not in, but we are definitely looking at that, and we're working with the school district to get into some of those schools. We recently just started at Northport because there was a need in the morning. So we are open. We want to be in 100% of the schools at some point. But yeah, so we work hard together to see what makes sense and which school we need to be in. And when we look at the times of the parents that work, you know, do we need to be there at 7 or 7:30, or do we need to stay a little later or open a little later, stay a little later in our afternoon programs?
That's such a great need, because I know, especially as the new year begins, each year, a lot of parents make phone calls to the district because of work schedules. And as we have a choice program for our schools, one of the considerations that parents have when they're deciding on what school is best suited for their student, not only what programs are in the schools and what what their child's needs are, but what are the hours of the school and what are my hours as a parent for work. You have to consider all of those factors. So you, as a Boys and Girls Club, offering this service is tremendous. It's just such a great partnership in making sure that we can meet the needs of students, of parents, and just great community partners.
Well, you know, I think, and Melanie's the expert here at this in terms of programs. I think sometimes, you know, the community look at us as a daycare, and we're really not a daycare. We offer programs that are going to enrich our kids' lives in the future. And Melanie can share a lot of what we do in that area.
Okay, so tell me what, let's put me in the shoes of a Boys and Girls Club member. What would I expect walking into a club?
So, Kerry, the first thing that we would offer you is a warm welcome. We know that a child's coming to us, either they're going to walk from their classroom directly to maybe a cafeteria where we're hosting our program, or maybe they've hopped on their bus and they're traveling to one of our neighborhood clubhouses. In any case, there's a caring adult there to greet them and ask how their day was. From there, we usually have our club meeting where we just talked about setting expectations and our goals for the day. The children are allowed a snack so they can have some time to settle. And then we start our program rotation. So for right now, you would typically jump into Power Hour, which is really, it's homework help, but it's so much more. We dive into, with some of our clubs, STEM activities. They're able to do some other educational enrichment, some reading time. We have little libraries at all of our clubs, thanks to Children's Services Council. From there, that educational piece, maybe they hop into doing triple play. So triple play is our opportunity for them to get outside, learn about a new sport, practice good sportsmanship, get a little bit of that physical activity as well. From there, they may go into one of our character building programs. We were just talking about a new program that we're going to be rolling out coming up in January. So for the girls, we have Smart Girls. And for the boys, we have Passport to Manhood. Part of that is teaching some prevention programming for them, but it's all about building their self-esteem. So they'll learn what it's like to be a strong male figure for their family. So we have programs like that we offer. Something that we did that was really neat this particular week, we have million members, million hours of service. So our expectation is that all of our kids, all of our club members are giving back to their community. So this past week, we had all of the kids sit down and make cards, special holiday cards for the military. And not only were they making the cards, but they learned about, what our servicemen and women are doing. And we invited veterans to come in and actually work with the kids on the cards. And they talked about their experience. We had several people in their 90s that were sitting with 6-year-olds and just talking about what that meant for them. And it was a great collaboration. We're able to send that off and give back to somebody else. And that would be what a typical day at a Boys and Girls Club would be.
That is fantastic. Ownership into the community and support for the community, as well as that academic success. And it shows the alignment with some of the priority goals of our education system as well. You mentioned the STEM, you mentioned the literacy, and the behavior support. One of the things that just came through the channels of communication for St. Lucie Public Schools is that we received notice that, again, for the third year in a row, we've increased the number of schools that have received accolades for positive behavior intervention and support.
Oh, nice.
We continue, increasing that type of awareness and award and status in our schools. So, great thing is, not only are we partners, but we're partnering for the same benefits. And
Absolutely.
thank you for that. You mentioned the cards. I have on my desk a card that came from the Boys and Girls Club from the hurricane support. So, those are very positive things. And to have the men and women from military working alongside, they've got firsthand knowledge of what it's like to be with someone who's served in the military. And I would imagine that we've probably impacted the mentality of boys and girls who may be tinkering with the idea of, do I want to serve my country one day? And they've learned what it would be like and the whys behind someone would commit to that type of service. So,
And I will expand a little bit more on what we offer for teens.
Yes.
We still cover the same basis from what I talked about earlier, but we realize that teens are a different audience for us. So we create special space for them. So they have their own program space where they're separated from the younger kids. And then we look at what are their interests. So instead of, them strictly doing homework time, we're going to work on career development for them. We're going to look at our Diplomas to Degrees program where they're actually learning about post-secondary education, setting goals for, how, when I graduate from high school, what are my plans? Am I going to go into the military? So we get to do, I think that's a really fun part of actually Will and I's job, is to see these teenagers and just that specialty that brings them in our doors to where they're in a safe environment.
Well, I think just to expand on that, we also partner with organizations throughout the community, such as EDC, just looking at opportunities for the youth to, those that want to go to college can go to college, but those that just want to go right into the workforce. So we're working with lots of partners, lots of businesses throughout the community to have those opportunities for our youth. So we start them young, but those teenagers they're just a different caliber, if that's correct to say, but they want more. And it's our jobs to provide them the opportunities or walk them through the doors that would potentially put them in a place of success.
And we do piggyback on the CTE programs that the schools offer. So we know which kids are in CTEs and what their areas of interest are. And so if they come to our club, we work with the Education Foundation and with EDC, and we actually match them up with what's a career mentor, where's a field trip that we can send them on that would be just an added bonus to what they're already receiving in the school.
and that's fantastic, because it is about college and career readiness.
Right.
Not everyone has the same goal, and we want to work to meet individual goals. So fantastic. But here's one thing. You all work so very diligently to make sure that you're meeting each and every student's individual goal. That doesn't come at an inexpensive price, because every child is a treasure, and we need to invest in our children. And to do that, we've got to have that community partnership. You do a lot of fundraising, and it's fundraising for a purpose, a very specific purpose. There are so many great community partners that you have supporting you. And I commend you for your efforts, because you're very accountable to them. And everything that you're doing is for a worthwhile cause. Would you like to talk about some of your community partners and the people that you have? You've mentioned a few, but I know you've got a lot more out there, because I've been at some of your events and I see and I hear why people do what they do for you.
I'm going to take a bold step, and I'm going to talk about some of our partners, because we really do have a wonderful community. And a person that did serve in the military, I actually lived in many communities, and this has to be the most family-friendly community that I've ever been associated with. First and foremost, we have a wonderful board. Our board president and Fire Chief Nate Sparrow does a great job at rallying the team together to make sure that we are accountable to the community. We have our Assistant Chief of Police, Richard Del Toro, for Port St. Lucie, who also does a great job at rallying the troops. And we have 17 other board members that are accountable to making sure that our youth are successful. And then to add to the board members, we have great partners who have spent lots of time with us. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't mention A&G Pools, who, you know, we always can count on those folks to continuously give us funding. We can always count on Southern Eagle to make sure that they're doing something for us. Always the United Way has always been a partner of ours and have been a partner for many years. We have the Housing Authority, who allow us to be in buildings at a very inexpensive cost so that we can serve our youth. And of course, I do have to mention the school district again, because there's no way we could do what we do without you guys transporting the kids to our various locations, without you guys allowing us to use your buildings, not just during the school year, but during the summer. We get to be in 9 or 10 of your buildings at an inexpensive cost, but it serves this past year over 800 kids this summer. And so our partners continue to grow. We have so many more partners. This would be a show in itself, but we really do appreciate all of the partners that we have out there throughout the county.
And I think our partnership with the Children's Services Council has been immense. Not only because they invest in our kids, but they offer trainings to us. They have actually networking events where we're able to get together with other nonprofits, other agencies that can serve our kids and, more importantly, serve our families. We know what our mission is, but we know sometimes a parent will come to us and they said, you know, I really need help with this. And we may not be able to tackle that, but we know who to call. We know who to refer them to, and we try to work very diligently to communicate with our families all the important resources this community does offer.
There's one other group that I would love to be able to mention, and that's the Roundtable, St. Lucie County. What a great resource for this community. We talk, and what I most love about it is that it's all circled around youth. And you guys did a wonderful presentation a month ago talking about your dashboard, and that was exciting to just be able to know that you guys are really drilling down to the details of every child. And I'm excited because I know that it will help us as well, so that maybe some of those youth that are struggling, we know that they're in our clubs, then we're going to pay a little bit more attention to those, you know, that bottom 25 or whatever the number is that you guys focus on. But the partnerships throughout the county is definitely remarkable.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's about every child, letting no child slip through the cracks. And I know that you have a truancy program. You're very attentive to making sure that children are in attendance, and we too are very focused on that, because if children aren't with us, where are they?
That's right.
So your summer programs, making sure that we've got children in school every day. You all are making sure that they are in school every day. And St. Lucie County is a wonderful place to live, to learn, to grow. And we want our children to move through our school system, to get those certifications and degrees, to come back here and to work and to be vibrant members of the community. So it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm looking through some of the programs that you have here. I just mentioned the truancy program. You've mentioned some of them. Think Big, the character leadership, the healthy lifestyles, the academic success. Just these are rich programs. It's not, like you said, it's not daycare. And for people that have the incorrect impression about what Boys and Girls Clubs are, I would invite them either to come into one of our school settings, take a closer look and see what this is all about, or to go to the Pruitt Center or one of the standalone facilities to see, because you've got some fantastic facilities with positive equipment for students to, explore different facets of whatever it is that interests them. And your staff is amazing. Just fantastic people on
Thank you.
board. Now, as we look at some of the other things that you have, you've mentioned, the family involvement. You've got the students there. If someone has never had the opportunity to explore, what do they do to get involved? What do they do to involve their students in Boys and Girls Club?
Well, simply they can call us. So they can call us at 772-460-9918, and we can direct them to the right person to talk to get involved. Or they can go to our website, and hopefully I get this right, www.bgcofslc.org.
Ooh,
He did it.
All right,
okay.
I'm moving in the right direction.
You are. Okay, and then if indeed they didn't catch all of that, then certainly we are there to support you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So they would just need to contact their child's school, because we love to share that information as well. And on our website, we have connections where we can set them up, and our school centers also have the information to connect to you.
Absolutely.
And then as the year progresses, we've got things like chili cook-off and other opportunities. One of my favorites is Youth of the Year.
That's my favorite as well.
This one, I want to spend just a little bit of the time that we have remaining to talk about, because the Youth of the Year is really spectacular. This is an event in which your students prepare a speech about first of all, who they are, the trek that they have journeyed to get to that point, some of the people in their lives. It's for scholarships, and I get goosebumps even thinking about it. Are students beginning to prepare for that now, and when's it going to be? And give me a little bit of background, because this is my favorite event of the year.
Well, they've already been preparing.
Okay.
So the preparation begins when they first enter our doors as club members. And I mean that in a sincere way, because we start with our Youth of the Month. So we do recognize our youth on a daily basis. And really what Youth of the Year is the ultimate recognition program for our youth. So we choose our youth based on that, and we have to narrow it down, of course. So each of our neighborhood clubhouses that serves teens ends up having a finalist. And we look for the teenagers, how they do with their academics, what their character is like, what are they doing in the club, outside of the club. And so we do have them fill out an application, which is, a couple pages. They have to write some essays. They have to get letters of recommendation. They end up going in front of a panel and getting interviewed. And then, of course, as you said, they have to deliver a speech. Now, this speech is not just any speech. The subject is what the Boys and Girls Club could mean to them, but you're right. They do walk you through what their life's been like, maybe how they overcame an obstacle, what helped them. But the neatest thing about it is that whoever that youth is that is chosen as the Youth of the Year, they represent every teen here in St. Lucie County. They represent all of our club members, and we tell them that, and they know that's an important initiative. What you're saying, what you're asking for, who you're saying you are, you're speaking for thousands of kids. So it's an amazing program. Now, it is a rigorous process, but we have graduates now that went through it, and they'll come back and say, because you had me write these essays, I use those same essays to apply for college scholarships, to apply for college. And that was a great piece for me. I got my first job because you helped me to hone up on my interview skills. I was able to join a special leadership group when I went on to college because you helped me find my voice. So it's more than just a program. It's something it's a life skill that they're learning. And yes, we do offer special recognition in the end and prizes. So our kids do get scholarships. They get iPads. They get all these wonderful treats. Sometimes they could be going to the fair or Universal Studios, just to say thank you for putting themselves out there in a lot of cases, and just you know, sometimes it's hard to say this is where I came from and this is something I overcame, but we're very proud of them. And the culminating event is in February. That's our Youth of the Year event. It's free to the public. It's amazing. You get to hear the 4 finalists speak, and then we announce who the winner is.
I think there's some other important pieces that just excites me is that the parents, you know, a lot of those parents may not have ever heard their child speak at that level, or they didn't know that some of the things that are coming out of that child's mouth is what they thought about, or just the eloquence of how their child is up there in their beautiful dress or suit and never probably could imagine that their young child could do this at a young at their age. And I think the audience, we have a lot of elected officials that are there. They get to see youth in a whole different manner than they may have saw them, you know, just walking down the street, or maybe even their own kids. You know, even from a school district standpoint, you get to see the same youth say, wow, look at the development that they have grown over the period of time. So it is one of my favorite events as well.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the word culminating. This is an outstanding opportunity to see the young people really take everything they've learned from the academic success, the leadership, because that comes through loud and clear in what they have to say and the way they hold themselves, the way they present themselves, and the way they stand up for everyone in the group. You're right, they do represent so many of their peers when they do this. You know they're on the right track.
Right.
So it's absolutely fantastic for them to reach their goals. So I congratulate both of you for the leadership roles you have in this wonderful organization in our community and across the nation. If individuals watching from home would like to learn more about it, they can certainly go to the website that you mentioned earlier, but also because we do appreciate what you do, we try to share out your information on our Facebook page and our web page as well, so they can always take a peek at St. Lucie Public Schools Facebook page and find out what's going on in the Boys and Girls Club. For now, though, I would like to say thank you. And for those watching at home, I'm Kerry Padrick, and this is WLX TV. On behalf of the station's team, I'd like to thank you for joining us. That's all for this show, but we invite you to follow us, to like us, and to watch us on our social media outlets. And as always, keep your eye on St. Lucie.